Morbius is the latest of Spider-Man's rogues gallery to grace the silver screen with his presence, and the movie has quickly become one of the lowest rated of the bunch. While I don't think the hatred the movie received is justified, it is far from a good movie. Based on its meager origin story source material from the 70s and without straying too far from it, the story is for the most part a faithful adaptation and overall okay. Was stretching a run-of-the-mill 5-minute origin story into a 2-hour-long movie a good idea? Judging by the box office numbers, clearly not, but besides that, there are 3 major issues that have led to the movie's overwhelmingly negative reaction. Hi, I'm Pat, and today I'm gonna take a look at Sony's Morbius and give my opinion on what went wrong with the movie. Morbius is a lesser-known Spider-Man villain. He first appeared in the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 101 in 1971. His origin isn't very fleshed out because he was mainly created to cure the man-spider condition Peter Parker was suffering from at that time in the comics. Morbius produced an enzyme that reverted Peter's condition, and that was his sole purpose for existing. Due to his supernatural horror thematic, he quickly took on the role of villain for other comic book characters such as Blade, Ghost Rider, Doctor Strange, and others. Morbius is a tormented character that throughout his existence in the comics has struggled between being a villain and a vigilante. For the most part, the movie does a decent job of portraying that inner struggle.
When it stops working, I'll become like Milo.
You won't?
But here's the deal, a standalone movie with a character like Venom works because he's well known, a fan favorite, and in certain parts of the world the most popular villain. Morbius lacks the appeal and popularity to pull something like a standalone movie off. And banking on vampire enthusiasts or horror fans to go watch the movie, I'd say is a far reach. Though with Moon Knight, Doctor Strange, Blade and Ghost Rider in the form of Robbie Reyes being present in the MCU, a new adaptation of the Midnight Suns, of whom Morbius has also been a member and foe of, might be an actual possibility. His B-villain status is just a minor issue though, because being well known isn't detrimental to the success of a movie. A good example of that is Marvel's very own Guardians of the Galaxy. Who? Or the John Wick franchise. The Guardians were mostly unknown characters before they joined the MCU, and John Wick is very loosely based on the story of former Navy SEAL Marcus Luttrell, whose dog was shot one night. The gunshots woke him up and he saw the perpetrators drive off. He proceeded to arm himself and chase after them until the police apprehended them before he could catch up. The movie's story isn't great by any stretch of the imagination, but the fights are entertaining and a joy to look at, and that's what drew the crowds in. Let's get technical here for a minute. Fight scenes are the lifeblood of many movies, especially when it comes to the superhero genre, and this is where the Marvel comics, even Venom and its sequel, do well, but Morbius drops the ball completely. Compared to Shang-Chi, for example, where the fights were well choreographed, well directed and well executed by the actors, which in turn created a clear, satisfying, engaging and exciting experience for the viewer. The fights in Morbius were anything but that. They were sped up and the motions were obscured by the smoke trail VFX, which only led to a disengaging experience. Even the random Zack Snyder slow-mos couldn't save the moments. While I think the idea of depicting the character's superhuman prowess and speed is in general okay, when you have to sacrifice the clarity of the shot or risk obscuring the motion and events taking place, it's almost never worth it. There's a great video on YouTube where Jackie Chan, a master of fighting choreography, explains how to choreograph, film and edit fights so that the audience can easily follow along.
American movie, the director used the angle, the audience just very dizzy. Yeah, there's something going on. Then suddenly, boom, finished. Ah. So when I'm fighting, it's more like steady. It's not moving. Let the audience see what I'm fighting. First shot, punch somebody from here. Boom. Then second shot, I'm from here again. Shoom.
It goes without saying that Morbius spectacularly failed all of those rules Jackie adheres to. In my opinion, the unsatisfying and unappealing fights and the lackluster villain are the movie's biggest issues. Movies are able to bring the imagination of the creators to life by creating fantastical worlds with imagery, sound and stories. Said immersion is very hard to create but very easy to break. For me personally, Morbius' ability simply asks for too much suspension of disbelief. I know, in the comics, Morbius is capable of gliding because his bones are hollow like a bat, and his weight is therefore considerably reduced. His tattered, albeit a bit short cape helps sell the illusion of a grown man gliding. The fact that it also took a hot minute for Morbius to completely transform didn't help his case either. Regarding the science fiction expression is tough. I would have wished for a more modern and updated retelling, something like an experimental cutting-edge gene splicing therapy, or incorporating alien DNA left over from Thanos' invasion, or something that would have made his transformation more believable. The 1970s origin story with injecting oneself with bad blood and the subsequent electroshock therapy does not rewrite one's DNA and give you the ability to break the laws of physics at will. Given our knowledge today, you're more likely to contract COVID 2.0 than anything else. Therefore, the suspension of disbelief is the second major flaw of the movie. And I can imagine many others, could not get past. Morbius, the Living Vampire series, published from 1992 to 1995, expanded the most on the character. The art and story were all over the place, indicating that there wasn't a clear consensus among the writers as to what they wanted the series to be and where they wanted it to go. The 90s series was also far more sinister, brutal and violent, which I presume some moviegoers expected to see rather than what we got. The movie is PG-13, so Morbius can't rip people apart, and neither can his foes, but I don't think it is that much of a drawback, and one can still craft an interesting story with that restriction in mind. In my opinion, a big part of what made Morbius Morbius was lost due to it. In the comics, he routinely tears apart abusers, pimps, drug dealers, addicts and anyone else in between who has accumulated bad karma in order to satiate his craving and ensure his sanity and survival. Replacing such a major aspect of his persona by providing him with artificial blood was a mistake. I know it was done so he can keep his moral high ground and remain indistinguishable from Milo, the villain. Let's talk about Milo, or Lucian Crown, or the actual comic book character he's based on, Lucian Crown. The character of Lucian Crown, Elias Hunger, is a very minor character. Prior to the movie, I had never heard of him or seen him, so it doesn't come as a surprise that I was not too thrilled with who we got as a villain. Someone like the Basilisk, Victor Slaughter or Werewolf by Night would have been a more interesting choice, still B tier but at least somewhat different. They could have easily retooled Slaughter into the lone survivor of the mercenary slaughtering on the ship, who had somehow gotten in contact with Morbius' blood or the cure during the bout and now hunts Morbius for vengeance. As a side note, Morbius' powers in the 90s comic grew exponentially because he received blood from Lilith, the blood of an actual vampire, making him also an actual vampire with supernatural powers for the duration of the series. Is Morbius a good movie? No. Is it bad? Also no. The story regarding its limited and boring source material from the 70s is actually decent. Morbius' abilities though were too reminiscent of Nightcrawler's from the X-Men, rather than his actual claw and fang brawling style. The villain Lucian Crown, whom Morbius faced, was underwhelming and the Batman imagery was a big miss for me. I know it's supposed to be vampire inspired, I just can't unsee the modern Batmanish influence on it. As far as I remember or know, Morbius has never had the ability to control bats or other familiars, so this was another miss for me. The final fight overall was short and disappointing. I mentioned the Midnight Suns, and although it's not out of the picture, judging from the post-credit scene where we see Morbius meet up with the Vulture, him joining the Sinister Six might be more likely further down the road. Anyway, that's it for this video from me. Did you like the movie? Who would you like to rather see, Sinister Six or the Midnight Suns? Please share your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, try another one. And if you'd like to see more, subscribe to the channel. As always, thank you for watching and I hope to see you again.